The glass walls of Halcyon Tower glowed against the early Manhattan morning, a cold white shimmer that felt more like a warning than a welcome. Executives hurried across the marble lobby, clutching their MacBook Pros and coffee cups, whispering about the most important strategy meeting of the year. For them, it was just another high-stakes Monday. For the man stepping out of a black Mercedes S-Class, it was the day he believed he'd finally claim the CEO throne. Jared Whitlock fixed his navy tie, smoothing his already perfect suit. His smile was sharp, self-satisfied, the kind of smile he wore whenever he felt the world bending to him. But today, something was different. Today, he didn't arrive alone. Clinging to his arm was Zoe Chambers, Evelyn Hart's best friend of 15 years. Or rather, former best friend. Zoe wore a fitted cream blazer over a silk blouse, her hair in soft waves, her perfume leaving an expensive trail behind her as she strutted through the lobby like she owned the place. Employees looked up, stared, whispered, "Isn't that the CEO's wife's friend? Why is she with Jared? Where's Evelyn Hart anyway? I thought she'd be here today." Jared basked in the attention, placing a firm hand on Zoe's waist, as if trying to claim ownership. He leaned in just close enough for people to notice, but not close enough to be caught. His specialty? Zoe smiled sweetly, but her eyes, they glittered with petty triumph. "Remember," she murmured, leaning into Jared's ear, "when the board sees me by your side, they'll understand you're a man who surrounds himself with real talent." Jared smirked. He liked hearing that. He liked hearing anything that fed the monster in his chest. Upstairs on the executive floor, tension coiled like a storm. The long glass table reflected the skyline, and every senior member of Halcyon waited for the announcement of the new CEO. A few believed it would be Jared. Most dreaded it. And then the doors opened. Jared entered with Zoe by his side, her heels clicking sharply as if announcing her new rank. Gasps scattered across the room. Conversations died instantly. A few exchanged glances that said everything without speaking. Zoe stepped ahead, sliding into the leather chair reserved for the CEO's advisor, Evelyn's old chair. She crossed her legs and folded her hands like she'd practiced the pose. Jared cleared his throat, lifting his chin. "Good morning," he said smoothly. "As we begin, I'd like to introduce someone essential to my strategic vision, our new communications lead." But he never finished the sentence, because the door behind him opened a second time, and the heels approaching were slow, steady, unmistakably familiar. Every executive froze. Zoe's confident smile twitched. Jared turned toward the sound, irritation sharpening his jawline, until he saw who it was. Evelyn Hart, his wife. But she wasn't holding a handbag, she was holding a CEO badge, and Jared's smile finally cracked. He had no idea the morning he thought he was winning was the morning he would lose everything. And Evelyn wasn't here as his wife anymore. She was here as his boss. The room went silent as she stepped forward. "Good morning," Evelyn said calmly. "Shall we begin?" The room seemed to pulse with a stunned, fragile silence as Evelyn Hart stepped fully into the boardroom. The early sun cast a pale gold glow behind her, outlining her figure like a deliberate spotlight. Her navy suit fit her perfectly, sleek, sharp, quietly powerful. Not glamorous, not glittering, but unmistakably in command. She carried no purse, no hesitation, and certainly no apology. Only a black leather portfolio and a calm she had spent years learning how to fake. But today it wasn't fake. She walked with a steadiness that didn't match the turmoil inside her chest. She could feel Jared's eyes on her, confusion, irritation, then something colder. Zoe's smile had evaporated entirely, replaced with the stiff, twitchy look of someone who just realized she stepped onto the wrong stage. Evelyn didn't even glance at them. She approached the head of the table, the chair meant for the next CEO of Halcyon Dynamics. A chair she had never imagined sitting in, not after the years she spent cleaning up Jared's messes, sacrificing her promotions, staying quiet about her grief, and shrinking herself to keep her marriage intact. But the board saw what Jared never could, and now the whole room would. Aidan Rourke, the chairman, rose to his feet. His expression was unreadable but decidedly respectful. "Good morning, Evelyn," he said. "Your seat is ready." A murmur rippled through the executives. Jared stiffened. "My seat?" Evelyn replied gently, though she already knew the answer. She had known since the meeting last Thursday, when Aidan handed her a sealed envelope and told her, "Prepare yourself. Monday will be loud." Now she understood. She lowered herself into the chair, smoothing the edges of her blazer with calm, measured hands. "Thank you." Zoe inhaled sharply. "Aiden, what is this supposed to mean? Jared is clearly the right candidate. Evelyn hasn't." Aiden lifted a single hand, silencing her as easily as flipping a switch. "Miss Chambers," he said coolly, "you do not speak in this room unless addressed." Zoe swallowed, shrinking back. Jared's jaw flexed, ready to erupt, but he stayed silent. Barely. Aiden turned to the board. As discussed, the decision was unanimous. Evelyn Hart is the new Chief Executive Officer of Halcyon Dynamics, effective immediately. Evelyn sat still, trying to keep her breath even. She saw the nods of confirmation from the board members, faces she had known for years but never believed would vote for her. It wasn't a dream. Not anymore. She'd spent the last 15 years solving problems behind closed doors, ghostwriting strategies Jared claimed as his own, and building the stability Halcyon needed without ever taking credit. She was the quiet engine, the invisible architect, the woman who always showed up, even when life broke her to pieces. And now, finally, the room saw her. Jared leaned forward, voice low but dangerous. "This is ridiculous. She took a 3-year break from corporate life. She has no recent management track record. She was basically a stay-at-home wife." The blow landed harder than she expected, but Evelyn didn't flinch. Aiden replied before she could. "Mr. Whitlock," he said coldly, "during those 3 years she also finished her second master's degree, solved your department's backlog from home, and designed half of the restructuring proposal you tried to present last quarter." Jared froze. Zoe looked like she'd been slapped. Evelyn finally spoke, her voice soft but steady. "I didn't expect this position, but I won't apologize for earning it." Her eyes met Jared's for the first time. "And I certainly won't apologize for surprising you." She opened her portfolio, sliding out a crisp stack of documents. "Now," she said calmly, "shall we begin the meeting we're already 20 minutes behind on?" The executives straightened in their chairs. Zoe's fingers trembled. Jared glared daggers. And then, the conference room door swung open again. The Halcyon Executive Boardroom had always intimidated Evelyn, even back in the years when she entered it only to drop off documents Jared forgot, or to quietly fix a slide deck he messed up before a major pitch. But today, as she sat in the center chair, she saw the space differently, clearly, sharply, like a battlefield she finally understood. Floor-to-ceiling windows stretched behind her, revealing a panoramic view of Manhattan in its winter stillness. The skyline glittered with cold morning light, sleek towers, silver reflections, the streaming lines of traffic far below. Inside, the boardroom was a world of steel, glass, and power. A 10-foot marble table, leather chairs, a 98-inch presentation screen, and the faint smell of polished wood and expensive cologne. Everyone in this room lived in a different stratosphere. They drove Mercedes S-Class, wore Rolexes, and closed deals over dinners at the River Cafe. But they also remembered who delivered results and who didn't. Today the room felt heavier, charged, waiting. Evelyn laid her Mont Blanc pen beside her notes, trying to hide the tremor still lingering in her fingers. She'd prepared for this meeting in theory, but not like this. Not with her husband sitting 3 seats away, his mistress perched confidently beside him, and an entire board silently wondering whether they were witnessing a coronation or a massacre. Aiden Rourke reclaimed his seat and nodded toward the panoramic view. "Let's proceed." But Jared wasn't done. He leaned forward, resting his elbows on the table, pretending to look calm. "Before we move on," he said, "I'd like to address something. We need stability and leadership. Someone with a proven track record of managing teams. Someone who understands the pressure of this level." He paused intentionally. Evelyn hasn't worked on site in years, and choosing a CEO based on theory rather than practical experience is reckless. Evelyn kept her gaze forward, refusing to react. Aiden's tone cooled. "Noted. Now?" But Jared pressed on, voice louder. "I'm saying what everyone's thinking. We need someone visible, present, someone who actually shows up." A faint ripple of discomfort moved across the room. Evelyn inhaled, slow and steady. Her heart pounded, but her voice, when she finally spoke, came out steady. "I did show up, Jared." She looked directly at him. "I showed up every time you couldn't. I showed up when your team missed deadlines, when you froze during investor presentations, when the board questioned our department's efficiency. Her gaze sharpened. The only difference is, I did it without asking for credit. The room went still. Zoe's eyes darted between them, her confidence thinning by the second. Aiden nodded slowly. Well said. One of the board members, an older man with silver hair, leaned in. Mrs. Hart, as CEO, what is your immediate priority? Evelyn straightened, grateful for the shift in focus. Halcyon is on the cusp of a global expansion. My first priority is restructuring the operations chain to streamline decision-making. That means, she tapped a key on her laptop. Charts, graphs, and projections lit up the massive screen. The room leaned forward as she spoke, engaged, impressed, even those who once doubted her. For the first time, Evelyn saw faces turning toward her with respect. She felt the power rising inside her, not arrogance, but clarity. Purpose. She wasn't here to survive, she was here to lead. Then she noticed Zoe shifting uncomfortably. The woman kept glancing toward her expensive tote bag, the one she'd placed on the floor beside her chair. Was she nervous? Evelyn didn't have long to wonder, because just as she began explaining the new organizational chain, the boardroom doors opened again. Not with hesitation this time, but with force. Every head turned. A young assistant rushed inside, panting, holding a tablet. Mr. Rourke, sir, there's something you need to see. Urgently. Aiden frowned. What is it? The assistant swallowed hard, then turned the screen so the room could see. A video was paused on the image, and in the frozen frame was Zoe in a hotel room with Jared. The timestamp was from 3 weeks ago. And worse, she was holding confidential Halcyon documents in her hand. The room gasped, Evelyn's blood ran cold, and then the assistant whispered, "This was just leaked to the entire executive network." The video froze on the enormous boardroom screen, its harsh fluorescent hotel lighting washing out Zoe's face. Her hair was messy, her blouse half-buttoned, and her hand was unmistakably holding a stack of confidential Halcyon documents. Documents Jared had claimed were misplaced 3 weeks ago. The timestamp glared like a spotlight exposing everything. For a moment, the entire room was silent. Not the respectful silence from earlier. This was a suffocating, stunned silence. The kind people slip into when they've just witnessed a car crash unfolding in slow motion. Zoe jerked upright in her chair. "That's edited," she blurted. "It's fake, obviously fake. Anyone can." "Be quiet," Aiden said sharply, his voice like a slammed door. She shrank back instantly. Jared's face turned a dangerous shade of red. His jaw twitched, the muscle pulsing like a warning sign. He didn't speak, he couldn't. His eyes darted from the screen to Zoe to Evelyn, and then back to the screen as if hoping the image would magically vanish. But it didn't, and the board had already seen enough. A senior executive cleared his throat. "That appears to be the missing Q4 strategy packet." Another whispered, "This is a breach of federal compliance law." Someone else muttered, "This could destroy us." Zoe snapped, her voice cracking. "I can explain. Jared gave me those because he needed my opinion. He said the team was incompetent, that he trusted me more." "T? Zoe," Jared hissed under his breath. "Shut up." That only made things worse. Several board members exchanged looks, sharp, calculating, disgusted. Evelyn didn't speak. She wasn't sure she even could. Her lungs felt tight, yet her pulse slowed in an eerie, unexpected way. This wasn't shock anymore. This was clarity. For the first time, she didn't feel like the betrayed wife. She felt like the CEO. Aiden folded his hands, his face unreadable. "Miss Chambers," he said calmly, "are you in possession of any other Halcyon property?" Zoe's cheeks drained of color. Her fingers twitched toward her tote bag, the same bag she kept glancing at earlier. Aiden stood. "Bring the bag here." Zoe clutched it to her chest. "No, it's personal. You can't just—" "You brought it into a corporate boardroom," Aiden said, "and you're a non-employee. Legally, we can." Her mouth opened in protest, but security had already stepped inside, silent, imposing, waiting. She let go. One guard placed the bag on the table, the other unzipped it. The contents spilled out in slow motion. Company documents, USB drives, a keycard registered under Jared's name, and worst of all, a printed draft proposal that hadn't even been released to the executive team. Gasps filled the room. Jared shot up from his chair, pointing at Zoe. "This is your doing. I never authorized this. She stole from me." Zoe whipped around, furious. "Stole? You gave me everything. Don't lie now." "Why would I ever give you confidential documents?" Jared snapped. "Because you trusted me more than your wife." Zoe screamed. Evelyn flinched. but only for a second. The words carved through her, but strangely, instead of bleeding, something inside her began to harden. Aiden lifted a hand. Silence rippled instantly. "Mr. Whitlock," he said, "as Vice President of Operations, any breach originating from your department falls under your responsibility." Jared's face twisted. "I had nothing to do with." "Save it for the audit team," Aiden cut in. The room shifted. Executives whispered. A few took notes with furious speed. And then the oldest board member, Miss Crawford, turned to Evelyn. "Mrs. Hart, as CEO, how would you like to proceed?" Every eye swung toward her. Her. Not Jared, not Zoe. Her. Evelyn rose to her feet. Her palms were no longer shaking. Her voice didn't tremble. Something inside her, something long buried, clicked into place. "We will begin with an internal investigation," she said, each word sharp and steady. "And until the facts are confirmed, both individuals involved will be—" The door slammed open again. This time, 2 corporate investigators stepped in. One of them spoke. "Evelyn, we found something else. Something you need to see immediately." Evelyn's heartbeat stopped mid-thud. The entire board stared. The investigator stepped closer, lowering his voice. "It's about your husband. And it's worse than the video." The investigator's voice hung in the air like smoke that refused to clear. Evelyn felt every pair of eyes in the boardroom shift toward her, watching, waiting, sensing that something catastrophic was about to unfold. The man stepped closer, lowering the folder he carried under his arm. "We uncovered a second breach," he said quietly. "Not just stolen documents. This one involves financial misconduct and Mr. Whitlock's direct signature." A cold, dull ringing filled Evelyn's ears. She stayed perfectly still, afraid one sudden movement would crack whatever composure she had left. Jared forced out a laugh. "Financial misconduct? That's absurd. I manage operations, not accounting." The investigator didn't blink. "Yes, and you authorized a series of unreported fund transfers from Halcyon's R&D budget into a private consulting firm." "So? We outsource all the time," Jared snapped. The investigator slid a document onto the table. "The firm is registered under Zoe Chambers' name." Silence detonated like a bomb. Zoe's hand flew to her mouth. "Why would I register a— Jared, you told me." "Don't you dare," Jared hissed. But it was too late. The board had seen the letterhead, the signatures, the timestamps. The truth spilled out, ugly and undeniable. Aiden leaned back, expression grim. "Mr. Whitlock, you funneled company funds to your mistress's shell corporation?" Jared went pale, then red, then pale again. "It wasn't like that. It was temporary, a workaround. Nobody was supposed to." "That's called embezzlement," Miss Crawford cut in, "and a federal offense." Someone else added, "This could put the company at risk of an SEC investigation." Zoe's voice rose in a thin, shaking whisper. "Jared, you told me the transfers were legal. You said it was a partnership." "It was," he snapped, "until you got sloppy and let yourself get recorded." "Oh, so now it's my fault?" Zoe cried, eyes glistening with panic. Evelyn watched them implode. It felt unreal, like she was floating above her own life, witnessing 2 people who once shared her dinner table, now tearing each other apart over greed and lies. But the worst part? She wasn't surprised. The betrayal had been rotting long before today. She had just been too loyal, too tired, too hopeful to see it. Aiden cleared his throat. "Mrs. Hart," he said, turning to her again, "as CEO, the floor is yours." The words struck something deep inside her. Responsibility, authority, power she had earned the hard way. Evelyn rose slowly. "For weeks," she began, "I believed the worst thing happening in my marriage was infidelity." Her voice didn't shake, but today I learned it was much darker. Criminal, reckless, and harmful to this company. She turned toward Jared, her husband, the man she had defended, supported, and sacrificed pieces of herself for. "You betrayed your vows," she said softly. "But more importantly, you betrayed Halcyon, and that is something I cannot overlook." Some executives nodded. Others watched her closely, absorbing her every word. Jared slammed his fist on the table. "You think you can talk to me like that? In front of everyone?" Evelyn didn't flinch. "I'm not talking to you as your wife, Jared." She stepped closer, meeting his furious, disbelieving eyes. "I'm talking to you as your CEO." A ripple went through the room. Shock, then approval, then something close to admiration. Even Zoe looked stunned. Aiden folded his hands. "Mrs. Hart, your formal decision?" Evelyn exhaled, slow and steady. "I'm suspending Jared Whitlock and Zoe Chambers effective immediately. Full compliance review. Security will escort them out." Zoe gasped. grabbing Jared's arm. "Jared, do something. Stop her. She's ruining us." But Jared wasn't listening. His eyes were locked on Evelyn, full of rage, disbelief, and something uglier. Something desperate. Security entered quietly, ready to carry out her order. Zoe stood first, shaking, near tears. But Jared didn't move. He glared at Evelyn like she had ruined his entire life. "This isn't over," he whispered. "You think you know everything? You don't have a clue." Evelyn felt a chill crawl up her spine. "What have you done, Jared?" she asked. He leaned in with a twisted smile. "You'll find out soon enough." And just as security reached for him, Jared pulled a second phone from his jacket, one Evelyn had never seen before. The elevator doors slid shut with a soft metallic sigh as Evelyn stepped inside, her pulse still hammering from the confrontation. The boardroom had erupted into chaos the moment Jared's secret phone flashed its threats. And though security had dragged him and Zoe out, the tension still clung to the air like static. Evelyn pressed the button for the executive suite 2 floors up, her temporary refuge. But the moment the doors closed, her strength drained. She leaned back against the glass, inhaling deeply. The city's skyline shimmered through the transparent walls, the winter sunlight glinting off skyscrapers like shards of truth she could no longer ignore. Her husband, no, her soon-to-be ex-husband, had stolen from her personally, betrayed her privately, and endangered Halcyon publicly. But that second phone, that was something else, something older, something she feared she already knew the shape of. When the elevator chimed open, Aiden Rourke was waiting in the hallway, hands in his pockets, his expression tight. "Evelyn," he said gently, "we need to talk." "I know," she whispered. "About the phone." He nodded. "Come to my office." Aiden's office overlooked all of Park Avenue, the kind of space designed to intimidate visitors. But today, Evelyn didn't feel intimidated. She felt exhausted, raw, ready for whatever truth was about to hit her next. Aiden gestured toward a leather chair. "Sit," she obeyed, smoothing trembling hands over her skirt. "Just say it," she murmured. "How bad is it?" Aiden didn't answer immediately. Instead, he walked to his desk, pulled up a file on his laptop, and turned the screen toward her. It was a bank statement. Her name, Jared's name, a joint account she hadn't touched in years. But the withdrawals, they weren't small, and they weren't recent. Aiden's voice was quiet. "The investigators synchronized Jared's second phone with accessible cloud data. This is just the beginning." Evelyn's stomach dropped. "He drained our savings." "No," Aiden said, meeting her eyes. "He drained it 10 months ago." Evelyn blinked. 10 months? But that was when? She froze. 10 months ago, when she had been at her lowest. When her mother had relapsed and passed away. When she had to step away from work entirely. When she could barely breathe some days, much less check financial statements or passwords. Jared had waited until she was grieving and stolen everything. Her voice cracked. "He left me with nothing." Aiden's jaw tightened. He didn't stop there. He opened the next file. Emails, contracts, digital signatures, all forged, all under Evelyn's name. Her lungs stuttered. "Why would he forge my signature?" "To make you responsible," Aiden said. "If the embezzlement was discovered, you'd be the one exposed. You'd be the one blamed." Her hands flew to her mouth. "He planned to frame me." Aiden didn't sugarcoat it. "Yes." The room swayed. She gripped the arms of the chair, forcing herself not to break. "Not yet. Not here." "He would have let me take the fall," she whispered. "He would have watched me lose everything. My name, my career, my freedom." Aiden stepped closer, placing a steady hand on her shoulder. "He underestimated you. He didn't expect you to become CEO. He thought you would crumble, like you did the year you lost your child. He counted on it." The words tore through her like glass. Images flashed. Hospital lights, shaking hands, Jared's disappointment disguised as pity. And now she finally understood. He had been grooming her to fail long before Zoe entered the picture. She rose slowly, feeling her grief, pain, and humiliation condense into something sharper. Strength. "I want a full investigation," she said. "Every file, every transfer, every forged document. I want the truth exposed." "And it will be," Aiden said. "But there's one more thing." She turned. Aiden tapped the laptop, opening a final file. A video. Jared again. But this time he wasn't with Zoe. He was with a reporter. And he was talking about Evelyn. Aiden pressed play. Jared's voice filled the room. "Evelyn? She's weak. She always has been. And when this all goes public, she'll break." Evelyn's breath caught. Then Jared added, I made sure of it. And the video wasn't recorded secretly. Jared had filmed it willingly, on his own phone. Evelyn didn't move for several seconds. Jared's voice still echoed through Aiden's office, dripping with arrogance, venom, and certainty that she would break. She had once loved that voice. Let it guide her, soothe her, convince her she was valued. Now it sounded like a stranger, a cruel one. She closed the laptop slowly, almost gently, as if sealing the last coffin of the woman she used to be. When she lifted her head, her eyes were different, clearer, sharper, no longer clouded by grief or fear. Aiden watched her carefully. You okay? No, she said softly, but I will be. For the first time since the morning began, she felt something warm flicker in her chest. Not sadness, not anger, but a quiet, rising resolve. She had spent years shrinking so Jared could shine. But he hadn't just underestimated her strength, he had forgotten something essential. A woman rises differently after she's been destroyed. Evelyn stood, smoothing her blazer, brushing away invisible dust like shedding old skin. I need a few minutes, she murmured. Aiden nodded. Whatever you need. She stepped out into the hallway. The floor-to-ceiling windows cast long reflections of Manhattan's skyline across the polished marble. She saw her reflection in the glass. Not the Evelyn who used to walk 3 steps behind Jared, who bent over backwards to protect someone who never protected her. This Evelyn stood tall. She entered the executive dressing suite, a private lounge reserved for top-tier leadership. She had never stepped foot inside before. Her ID badge had been upgraded just this morning, yet somehow walking through the door felt symbolic, like crossing a threshold into the life she should have always lived. Inside, she approached the mirror. The woman staring back looked tired, raw, wounded, yet unmistakably strong. The faint red around her eyes didn't make her weak. It made her real, human. Surviving. She opened one of the sleek cabinets, unsure what she hoped to find. But inside were emergency items meant for executives caught in unexpected media storms. Pressed shirts, neutral-toned blouses, elegant blazers, silk scarves, makeup kits stocked with everything from Dior foundation to neutral lip pencils. She let out a breathless laugh. Well, that's convenient. Evelyn chose a new outfit, a crisp white blouse, a steel gray blazer, tailored black pants. Clean lines, sharp, executive, powerful. As she changed, she felt layers peel off, the shame Jared planted in her, the self-doubt Zoe reinforced, the sorrow that had held her hostage for years. She retied her hair in a sleek low bun, touched up her face, not to hide, but to declare she wasn't defeated. Then she slipped on a pair of black heels she found in the cabinet. Simple. Elegant, unapologetic. Evelyn faced the mirror again. The change wasn't dramatic, but it was undeniable. This wasn't a makeover for beauty, it was a reclamation. A soft knock sounded at the door. Evelyn, Aiden's voice. She opened it. Aiden's brows lifted slightly, not with surprise but with recognition. You look like yourself, he said. Do I? She asked. Yes, he said quietly. The version you tried to hide for years. His words warmed her, steadied her. She exhaled deeply and stepped into the hallway, heels clicking with new confidence. Ready for the board? He asked. I'm ready for everything, she replied. But as they approached the boardroom again, a staff member rushed toward them. Face pale. Miss Hart, he said breathlessly. The media, they're already here. Something leaked. Evelyn froze. What leaked? She asked. The staffer swallowed. It's about you. Her heart stopped. Aiden stepped closer. What exactly was leaked? The staffer handed over his tablet. On the screen was a headline, already spreading across multiple major outlets. CEO's husband arrested for embezzlement, but his wife may have signed off. Evelyn's blood ran cold, and then the staffer whispered, and there's a second headline. Jared claims you were the mastermind. The hallway seemed to tilt beneath Evelyn's feet as she stared at the headline glowing on the tablet. Her vision tightened, tunneling around the bold black letters that screamed her guilt to the world. Jared hadn't wasted a second. He didn't just betray her. He didn't just steal from her. He had thrown her directly under the bus. Publicly, strategically, viciously. Aiden took the tablet from her gently. His jaw flexed as he scrolled through the article. This is coordinated. Someone fed them a full narrative. Evelyn swallowed, throat dry. He planned this. Before the board meeting, before the video, all of it. Aiden nodded grimly. He wanted to destroy your credibility before you could expose him. A wave of humiliation washed over her, hot, sharp, searing. She felt it crawl up her spine, tightening like a fist. Reporters downstairs were already gathering. Cameras, microphones, questions shaped like knives. For years, she feared the spotlight. But now, she didn't have the luxury of hiding. "Let's go," Aiden said quietly. They walked together to the boardroom doors. Before they stepped in, Evelyn paused. Her heart hammered so hard she could feel it in her fingertips. But she steadied herself, lifting her chin. She wasn't just a wife humiliated by her husband. She wasn't a woman crumbling under betrayal. She was the CEO, and she needed to act like one. Inside, the boardroom was chaos. Executives spoke over each other, reading updates from their tablets, whispering anxiously about damage control. A few had already drafted statements. Others were speculating about resignations. But the moment Evelyn entered, the room fell silent. Aiden cleared his throat. "Before we continue with crisis management, Evelyn should address the board." Every gaze turned to her. Some sympathetic, some skeptical, some frightened, all waiting for her to crumble. Evelyn walked to the center of the room. "I saw the headlines," she said. "Both of them." Miss Crawford folded her hands. "Mrs. Hart, this could jeopardize the company's market value within hours. The stock is already contracting." Evelyn nodded. "I understand." Another executive leaned forward. "If you step down temporarily, we can stabilize the media fallout. Present it as an internal misunderstanding." Evelyn looked him dead in the eyes. "No." A ripple of shock moved around the table. "I will not step down," she continued. "I will not run, and I will not allow my husband to weaponize my grief or my past to dismantle my future or Halcyon's." A few executives exchanged impressed looks. Evelyn opened her leather portfolio and laid down several documents. "These," she said, "are the forensic records proving my signature was forged on every illegal transfer. And these," she tapped another stack, "are emails Jared sent from a disguised account, pretending to be me." A silence of dawning realization filled the air. Aiden stepped beside her. "We will release these findings to the compliance team and media at noon. It will clear Evelyn, and it will obliterate Jared's narrative." Miss Crawford exhaled. "And Zoe? Her consulting firm," Evelyn said, "was created solely to receive stolen funds. She's not just an accomplice, she's a co-conspirator." "Good," Miss Crawford replied. "Expose her, both of them." Evelyn felt something settle in her chest. Justice, finally taking shape. But there was more. "I want to address the media myself," she said. This time, even Aiden blinked. "Are you sure?" "Yes." She stood straighter. "If I stay silent, Jared wins. If I speak with truth, with proof, I take back the narrative." Aiden studied her, then nodded. "Then we prepare for a full press conference." The room mobilized instantly. Screens lit up, documents were sent, phone calls made. It was the first time Evelyn felt the full power of her title. She wasn't the shadow behind Jared. She wasn't a footnote in his career. She was the storm coming for him. A staffer rushed inside. "Miss Hart, the press is ready downstairs." Evelyn inhaled. Everything she had endured, loss, betrayal, erasure, brought her to this moment. Aiden stood beside her. "You don't have to do this alone." She met his eyes. "No," she whispered. "I want them to see me." They walked toward the elevator. But before they reached it, another employee sprinted down the hall, breathless. "Miss Hart, wait, there's a new update." Evelyn turned sharply. "What now?" The employee held out his phone, shaking. "It's Jared. He's not denying anything anymore." "Then what is he saying?" Aiden demanded. The employee swallowed hard. "He's saying you ordered him to do it, and he just went live on national television." Evelyn's blood ran cold as the hallway erupted into frantic whispers. The elevator doors slid open to the lobby, and Evelyn stepped out into a wall of noise. Cameras flashed like lightning. Reporters shouted her name. Microphones thrust toward her face as if trying to pierce her skin. Security struggled to push back the crowd, but the chaos was already swelling into a frenzy. In the center of it all, on a massive screen mounted in the lobby, Jared Whitlock's face filled every pixel. Smug, composed, pretending to be the victim. He was being interviewed live on national television. "And yes," Jared said smoothly, "Evelyn pressured me. She insisted the transfers were a necessary temporary adjustment. She told me to use Zoe's firm so it wouldn't raise questions. I was just following her directives." Evelyn stopped in her tracks. The crowd went wild, reporters gasping, snapping photos, screaming questions that all blended into one deafening roar. Aiden stepped protectively beside her. You don't have to watch this. Yes, she whispered. I do. On screen, Jared continued, wearing the same sympathetic expression he used when he used to manipulate her during their worst arguments. I never wanted any of this, he said, shaking his head. My wife, well, she hasn't been stable for years. After she lost our baby, she changed. She made reckless decisions. She's not capable of leading Halcyon. He sighed, lowering his eyes. I just hope she gets the help she needs. A low, horrified murmur spread through the lobby. Aiden inhaled sharply. He didn't just go after your reputation. He went after your mental health. Evelyn felt her heart crack, but only for a second. Then something inside her solidified. She watched Jared lie effortlessly, weaponizing her deepest wound for sympathy and power. And suddenly the fear vanished. She wasn't scared anymore. She was done being hunted, done being his shield, done being quiet. A security lead approached her. Miss Hart, we can move you to the back exit. No. Evelyn's voice cut through the chaos, steady and clear. I'm going out there. The security lead blinked, stunned. With all due respect, it's not safe. It's necessary, she said firmly. He wanted to break me in public. Fine, I'll answer him in public. Aiden stared at her, something like pride flickering behind his concern. If you're doing this, I'm standing beside you. She nodded once. Thank you. Together, they walked toward the sea of reporters. Cameras swung toward her instantly. The lobby erupted into rapid-fire questions. Evelyn, did you authorize the transfers? Is it true you forged signatures? Did you frame your husband? Are you stepping down as CEO? Are you mentally unfit to serve? The last question hit like a slap, but Evelyn didn't flinch. She stepped onto the small platform Halcyon security had assembled and raised her hand. The noise died instantly. Thank you for being here, she began, voice echoing across marble floors and glass walls. I know you've seen the headlines, and I know you've heard my husband's accusations. She paused, letting the tension rise. I'm here to address them. Not with excuses, not with emotion, with truth. Behind her, Aiden handed her a folder. Evelyn opened it and held up a sheet of paper. This, she said, is a forensic analysis proving every illegal transfer had my signature forged. Flashbulbs exploded. Reporters scribbled furiously. She held up another. These are emails Jared sent under a fake address posing as me. Another wave of gasps, and this, she clicked a remote. A new video appeared on the screen behind her. Not of her, not of Zoe, not of forged signatures, but of Jared, drunk, laughing, telling the same reporter from the broadcast, relax, Evelyn will take the fall. She's too soft to fight back. The lobby erupted. Some reporters shouted, others gasped. A few simply stared, stunned into silence. Evelyn spoke over the uproar. I will not be his scapegoat. I will not be erased. I will not be silenced. She leaned toward the microphones, and I am not stepping down. The crowd roared. But before she could say another word, her phone buzzed violently in her blazer pocket. A single text preview appeared on the screen, from an unknown number, a message that made her blood freeze. If you go any further, Evelyn, I'll destroy someone you care about. Evelyn stared at the text message as though the words were carved into her skin. If you go any further, Evelyn, I'll destroy someone you care about. Her pulse thudded painfully in her ears. Someone she cared about? Her mother was gone. Her friendships had withered under Jared's control. Her world had grown so painfully small over the years, by design. Jared's design. Aiden noticed her stiffening. What is it? He murmured beside her. Evelyn clenched her phone. A threat. His jaw hardened. From Jared? I don't know, she whispered. But it sounds like him. The crowd in the lobby was still roaring from the video, reporters shouting overlapping questions. Cameras flashed relentlessly, glittering like shards of ice. Evelyn stepped back from the microphones and Aiden guided her away from the crowd. Security formed a protective barrier, ushering them toward a private hallway. Evelyn's heels clicked sharply against the marble, each step trembling with adrenaline. When they reached the quiet corridor, Aiden turned to her. Show me. She held out the phone. His face darkened instantly. This isn't just a threat, he said. It's leverage. He thinks you're still the woman who will fold when pressured. He thinks I'm weak, she whispered. He thinks wrong. She exhaled shakily. But who could he be talking about? I don't have anyone left. Aiden's expression softened. Evelyn, you don't have to. Before he could finish, her phone buzzed again. Another message, another knife, a photo this time. A photo taken from a distance. A cafe. a figure inside the window. Evelyn's heart lurched. It was Dr. Samuel Rhodes, her therapist, one of the few people she had trusted after losing her baby, the one who had held her together in her darkest nights. A quiet, kind presence who helped her crawl out of the grief that nearly swallowed her alive. Her lungs tightened. Jared knew she still saw Dr. Rhodes occasionally. Not often, but enough to twist it into something. A third text came instantly. Imagine what the world will think when they find out you've been having an affair with your therapist. Evelyn staggered back. No, he wouldn't. Aiden grabbed her shoulders gently. Look at me, this is a bluff. He knows about my appointments, she whispered, voice cracking. He knows those years were the darkest of my life. He knows how vulnerable I was. He knows exactly how to make it look inappropriate. Aiden's expression turned feral. He's weaponizing your healing. Evelyn felt a tear escape, but she brushed it away furiously. This was the plan all along. If he couldn't break my reputation, he'd break the people who helped me rebuild it. Her phone buzzed a fourth time. A location ping. No words, just coordinates. Aiden looked at it. That's in Brooklyn, near the waterfront. Why would? But Evelyn already knew. That cafe, she murmured. Dr. Rhodes goes there every Sunday morning. Aiden's eyes widened. He's there now? Yes, she breathed. They exchanged a glance. No explanation needed. This wasn't about rumors. This wasn't about the media. This was a warning shot, an escalation. Aiden's voice was calm but urgent. We need to get you upstairs. Call legal, call security. We'll track Jared. No, Evelyn said abruptly. Aiden turned. What do you mean, no? I'm not hiding, she said. Not again. Not because of him. Evelyn. She lifted her chin. I'm going to that cafe. Aiden stared at her. Absolutely not. I have to protect the people he wants to use against me. Then let security handle it, he insisted. No, she repeated. This is mine. He dragged my life into the spotlight. I won't let him drag someone innocent into it too. Aiden ran a hand through his hair, back clearly torn. Then I'm coming with you. She didn't argue. They headed for the exit, moving fast but with purpose, flanked by halcyon security. Just as they reached the revolving glass doors, Evelyn's phone buzzed again. This time only 2 words appeared on the screen. Sent from Jared's number. You're already too late. Cold air slapped Evelyn's face the moment she pushed through the revolving doors of Halcyon Tower. Manhattan's winter wind whipped around her, sharp as broken glass. The city roared with horns, engines, street chatter, but beneath all of it, her mind replayed Jared's final message. You're already too late. Her pulse surged. Aiden was right behind her, issuing rapid orders to Halcyon security as they hurried toward the black SUV waiting at the curb. 2 cars behind us, 1 ahead. Sweep the cafe perimeter, he barked into his phone. And locate Jared Whitlock immediately. The SUV door opened. Evelyn climbed in, her heart pounding hard enough to hurt. As the car peeled away from the curb, she gripped the handle, staring out the window at the blur of Park Avenue's skyscrapers. Aiden slid into the seat beside her. We'll get there before anything happens. You don't know that, she whispered. Evelyn, he said gently, he's bluffing. She shook her head. You didn't see him in that boardroom. He wasn't angry. He was calm. Like he had a plan, like he'd been waiting for this exact moment. Aiden said nothing. The ride across the bridge felt endless. Traffic crawled through lower Manhattan, tires hissing across wet asphalt. Evelyn caught her reflection faintly in the window. Wide eyes, clenched jaw, determination fighting terror. Brooklyn's waterfront finally appeared, slate gray and trembling under the wind. Turn left, the driver announced. Evelyn recognized the street instantly. Dr. Rhodes's cafe, Willow and Steam, sat on the corner, with its soft green awning and warm golden lights glowing through the windows. But something was wrong. There were police cars outside. 2 of them. Evelyn's breath caught. No, please. Stop the car, Aiden ordered sharply. The SUV skidded to a halt. Evelyn flung open her door and sprinted across the sidewalk, ignoring Aiden calling after her. Her heels struck the pavement in frantic, uneven beats. She reached the cafe doors and shoved them open. The bell chimed. Warm air. Coffee aroma. And a hush so sharp it made her eyes sting. People stared at her, baristas, customers, faces pale and frightened. Where is he? She gasped. Dr. Rhodes, where is he? A barista pointed shakily toward the back hallway. The police? They're talking to him now. Someone left something on his table. Something disturbing. Evelyn's knees nearly buckled. She ran. Aiden caught up just as she reached the back corridor, where two uniformed officers stood outside a private seating nook. Dr. Samuel Rhodes sat inside, alive, unharmed, but shaken. He looked up when he saw her. "Evelyn?" Her chest collapsed with relief. She pushed past the officers. "Sam, are you okay?" "I'm fine," he said softly. "Just frightened. Someone left a package with your name on it. The manager found it before I did." Aiden stepped in. "Where is it?" One officer held up a sealed manila envelope inside an evidence bag. "We haven't opened it yet. We were about to escort it to the precinct." "Open it now," Aiden said. Evelyn swallowed hard. "Please." The officer nodded, broke the seal, and slid out the contents. A stack of photos. Evelyn's stomach dropped. Pictures of her and Dr. Rhodes during her grief counseling sessions. Years old, private, taken without her knowledge. The angle, the lighting. Someone had been watching them through windows, through doors, through cracks. "Oh my God," Evelyn whispered. Dr. Rhodes looked horrified. "Evelyn, these are from my old office. Before I moved, I didn't even know anyone was outside." Aiden's voice turned lethal. "Jared has been stalking you for years." The officer pulled out one final item, a handwritten note. Evelyn's fingers trembled as she took it. 6 words. 6 words that made the room tilt sideways. "If I can't have you, no one will." Her breath froze. Aiden grabbed her arm. "Evelyn, we need security, now." But before he could finish, the cafe door slammed open at the front. A voice thundered through the shop. "Where is she?" The voice crashed through the cafe like a storm, loud, furious, unmistakable. Evelyn froze. Aiden stepped in front of her instinctively, his body tense, eyes sharp. The two uniformed officers moved toward the entrance, hands hovering near their holsters. Dr. Rhodes rose slowly from his chair, his face pale. The cafe fell silent. No one breathed. Footsteps thundered across the wooden floor, heavy, frantic, unhinged. Then Jared Whitlock appeared in the doorway, chest heaving, eyes wild. His suit jacket hung crookedly off one shoulder, his hair disheveled, and there was something manic in his expression, something that made the room shrink. He wasn't calm anymore. He wasn't calculating. He was unraveling. "Evelyn!" he shouted, scanning the cafe. "Get out here." She felt her pulse spike, but she didn't move. Aiden did. "Jared," Aiden said sharply, "step back. You're violating multiple restraining protocols." "Shut up," Jared snapped, pointing at him. "I'm not here for you." He took another step inside. The officers blocked him. "Sir, you need to calm down," one said. "This is a police matter now." "Move," Jared barked, the word cracking with rage. He lunged. The officers held him back, but Jared fought like a man possessed. Tables clattered, customers screamed, and the cafe erupted into chaos. Evelyn stepped out from the corner just as Aiden grabbed Jared's arm, trying to keep distance between them. "Stop," Evelyn shouted. "Jared, stop!" The sound of her voice worked like a trigger. Jared froze mid-struggle. His head snapped toward her. And for one horrifying second, the rage disappeared. He smiled, slowly, disturbingly, like a man greeting someone he believed belonged to him. "Evelyn," he said softly. "There you are." Her blood ran cold. He slipped out of the officer's grip with a sudden jerk and took 2 fast steps toward her before they caught him again. "You came," he said, ignoring the police. "I knew you would. You always do. You always run after me when things get bad." Evelyn felt a tremor ripple up her spine. "No," she said quietly. "I didn't come for you." He tilted his head. "You think Aiden cares about you? You think he'll protect you? You think anyone will?" Jared laughed, a hollow, cracked sound. "You're nothing on your own. You were nothing before me." Aiden moved closer, voice low and controlled. "She's more without you than you ever let her be." Jared's eyes darkened. "Stay out of this, Rourke." He turned back to Evelyn. "You think you're strong now because you have a title? Because they finally gave you a corner office? You're a joke, Evelyn. A charity case wearing a suit." Evelyn inhaled slowly, feeling her fear turn into something steadier, something hotter, something stronger. "Jared," she said, "you can't intimidate me anymore." He stopped struggling. His whole body went still. "Excuse me?" "You heard me," she said. "I'm done being your shield. I'm done covering your lies. I'm done letting you twist my life into whatever makes you feel powerful." Jared's nostrils flared. "Everything you have is because of me." "No," she said, lifting her chin. "Everything you had was because of me, and now you've lost it." For the first time, true fear flickered in Jared's eyes. Not panic, not anger. Fear. "You think you can walk away from me?" he whispered. "She already has," Aiden said. Jared snapped. He thrashed violently against the officers, his face contorting with rage. "You don't get to leave," he shouted. "You don't get to win. If I go down, you're coming with me." The officers wrestled him back, finally pinning him to the wall. Evelyn stepped closer, her voice steady. "It's over, Jared." He stopped fighting. He stared at her, eyes burning, chest heaving, hands shaking. Then his lips curled into a slow, chilling smile. "Oh, Evelyn," he whispered. "You really think this is over?" Aiden stepped protectively in front of her again. Jared tilted his head, eyes gleaming with something poisonous. "I sent copies," he murmured. "Everything, every forged file, every fake signature, every photo. I sent them somewhere safe." Evelyn's breath caught. Jared leaned in, lowering his voice to a venomous whisper. "And if anything happens to me, they'll be released." Aiden's expression hardened. "You're bluffing." Jared smirked. "I never bluff." Then he looked directly at Evelyn. "And the first person those files will ruin is you." Before anyone could respond, Jared laughed, and the cafe's back door slammed somewhere in the distance. Chaos rippled through the cafe the moment that distant door slammed. The sound echoed like a warning shot, making every customer jump. The police tightened their hold on Jared, but his laughter lingered in the air, low, manic, triumphant. Aiden reacted first, signaling for 2 officers to check the back exit. "Go. Now." They sprinted down the hallway. Evelyn stood frozen, her pulse pounding so violently it felt like her ribs were vibrating. Jared's words ricocheted in her skull. "I sent copies, and the first person those files will ruin is you." She felt her throat tighten, her breath thinning into something sharp and painful. For a moment, she wasn't in the cafe. She was back in the hospital years ago, losing her child, losing her sense of safety, losing herself, while Jared twisted her grief to his advantage. Aiden stepped closer. "Evelyn, look at me. He's desperate. That's all this is." "No," she whispered. "It's more than that. He planned this. Every piece, every lie, every trap." Jared snarled at the officers. "You think you can protect her? You think you understand her?" He glared at Evelyn. "Tell them, sweetheart. Tell them how weak you really are." Something inside her cracked, not with fear, with anger. She stepped toward him, her voice surprisingly steady. "You used my pain like a weapon," he smirked. "You made it easy." Aiden's eyes darkened with fury. "Don't say another word." But Jared only leaned his head back against the wall, smiling as though he'd already won. "She needed me. She always needed me, and now she's pretending she doesn't. It's pathetic." Evelyn inhaled slowly, fighting the tremor in her chest. "I didn't need you," she said. "I survived despite you." His smile faltered. She continued, her voice gaining strength. "You drained our savings while my mother was dying. You forged my signature when I was too heartbroken to think straight. You stalked me when I tried to rebuild my life. That's not love, Jared. That's control." Jared's face contorted with rage. "You ungrateful." But the officers shoved him back against the wall before he could reach her. Evelyn stepped away, suddenly feeling dizzy. The walls seemed to tilt. She reached for a nearby table, steadying herself. Aiden hurried to her side. "Evelyn, breathe," he murmured, placing a gentle hand on her back. "You're safe, I promise you. Safe," a word she hadn't actually felt in years. She closed her eyes, letting the warmth of Aiden's steady presence anchor her. But then one of the officers returned from the back hallway, breathless, concerned. "He's not alone," the officer said. "Someone was here before us." Evelyn's eyes flew open. "What do you mean someone was here?" "We found footprints leading to the service alley, fresh ones, and a phone, burner device. It was smashed, but whoever was helping him left fast." A chill wrapped around Evelyn's spine. Jared didn't work alone. Not this time. Not ever. She turned sharply toward him. "Who else is involved?" Jared's smile returned, slow and poisonous. "You want the truth now, after all this time?" "Yes," she said coldly. "Start talking." He tilted his head. "Or what? You'll fire me? Have me arrested? Take away everything I built for you?" "You built nothing for me," she said. His eyes glittered. "Someone's been doing things you never noticed, helping me, feeding me information, watching you." Evelyn's stomach clenched. "Who?" Jared leaned forward, his voice dropping. "Someone close. Closer than you think." Aiden stepped forward, fists clenched. "If you know what's good for you," but Jared cut him off, sneering. "I'm not the one you should be worried about." Evelyn felt her breath catch. "Just tell me who it is." Jared's smile widened, terrible and triumphant. I didn't send the files, he whispered. I didn't have to. Someone else already did. Evelyn's knees weakened. Someone else. Someone close. Her voice trembled. Who? Jared leaned his head back, laughing, and then he said the last name Evelyn ever expected to hear. Your sister. For a second, Evelyn didn't understand what she'd heard. The cafe noise blurred. The sirens outside dimmed. Even her own heartbeat felt distant, muffled, as though she had fallen underwater. My sister? She whispered. Jared grinned, slow, wide, triumphant. Took you long enough. Aiden's brows pulled tight. Evelyn, you have a sister? She swallowed hard. Yes, Charlotte, but she lives in North Carolina. She hasn't been in New York for over a year. Jared laughed, harsh and sharp. Oh, she's been in New York plenty. You just never noticed. Evelyn's breath caught, an invisible fist tightening around her lungs. Charlotte. The girl she had practically raised after their father left. Charlotte, whose college fees Evelyn had paid for. Charlotte, who disappeared after a bad breakup and rarely responded to calls. But Charlotte working with Jared? Impossible, unthinkable, insane. What did you do to her? Evelyn demanded, voice cracking. Jared shrugged. Me? Nothing. She came to me months ago, crying about you. How perfect Evelyn always gets everything. How Evelyn gets the job, the marriage, the spotlight, the sympathy. He leaned forward. It was pathetic how jealous she was. Evelyn's stomach twisted. You're lying? Jared smirked. Who sent you those emails from her college address? The ones criticizing your decisions? They weren't spam. They were from her. Evelyn's knees trembled. Aiden stepped in. Jared, enough. You're manipulating her. I don't need to, Jared snapped. Her sister already did half the work for me. Evelyn shook her head rapidly. Charlotte would never. She loves me, Jared scoffed. She loves what you did for her. Not you. And when she realized everything she ever wanted, your success, your position, your stability, would always be out of reach, she broke. She came to me for help. Aiden clenched his jaw. What exactly did she do for you? Jared smiled with manic pride. She was my eyes, my ears. She fed me details about every project you pitched, every board member you talked to, every stress you had. She helped me forge your signatures. She knew your handwriting better than anyone. His grin widened. She was perfect. Evelyn staggered back, gripping a table to steady herself. Her vision blurred. Charlotte, her little sister, her only remaining family, working with Jared, betraying her. She felt something deep inside her fracture, quietly but irreparably. That's not possible, she whispered. She wouldn't hurt me, not like this, not this deeply. But she did, Jared snapped, and she did it gladly. Aiden placed a hand on her back. Evelyn, don't listen to him. He's cornered. He's lashing out. He wants to destabilize you mentally. But Evelyn wasn't sure anymore. Charlotte had grown distant, cold, unreachable, angry at the world, and sometimes quietly at Evelyn too. The memories hit like sharp flashes. Charlotte shouting, "You always get everything." Charlotte crying, "Why is it always you they look up to?" Charlotte whispering, "You think you're so perfect just because you sacrifice everything." Had those been warnings? Had she ignored them? The room spun. "I need proof," Evelyn choked out. "If you're telling the truth, show me." Jared shrugged. "Check your email. She sent you a message this morning." Aiden immediately pulled up her email on his phone. His face changed, first confusion, then alarm. He turned the screen to Evelyn. A new message, time-stamped 1 hour ago. Subject, "I'm sorry, Evie." Attached, a zip folder. Evelyn's fingers shook as she tapped the attachment. Inside were dozens of files, screenshots, recordings, documents. Charlotte had collected over months, all labeled for Jared. Her knees almost gave out. Aiden caught her before she fell. "Evelyn, breathe. I've got you." Tears stung her eyes. Why would she do this? Why would she help him destroy me? Jared smirked. "Because she hates you for having the life she never could, and I gave her a way to take it from you." Aiden's voice dropped to ice. "You're finished, Jared. And Charlotte will answer for this too." Jared leaned his head back, smiling. But then the front door of the cafe burst open again. Police moved aside. A woman rushed in, hair wild, eyes swollen, breath shaking. Evelyn's heart stopped. Charlotte, her sister. She looked directly at Evelyn and whispered, "Evie, I'm sorry. I didn't know it would go this far." Evelyn couldn't move. Charlotte stood in the doorway of the cafe like a ghost dragged into daylight, hair tangled, cheeks streaked with tears, breath coming in rapid, uneven gasps. Her coat hung off one shoulder as if she had run the entire way. For a moment, the world went silent. Then Charlotte whispered again, voice cracking. Evie, please, I didn't know he would do this. Evelyn's chest tightened. Why are you here? Charlotte stumbled forward, ignoring the police, ignoring Aiden, ignoring Jared's twisted smirk. She reached out as if she wanted to touch Evelyn's arm, but stopped inches away, her hand trembling violently. I swear, Charlotte said, I never meant for it to get this far. He told me you were hurting. He told me you needed help, that you were falling apart. Falling apart, Evelyn said, voice hollow. And that justified betraying me? Charlotte flinched. I thought I was protecting you. A cold, humorless laugh escaped Evelyn's lips. By feeding him everything I said, everything I did, everything I trusted you with? Charlotte covered her face with shaking hands. I didn't think he would turn it against you. I didn't think. You didn't think, Evelyn repeated quietly. That part, I believe. Aiden stepped forward, putting himself slightly between the sisters. His voice was firm. Charlotte, Jared claims you helped him forge signatures and leak documents, that you worked with him intentionally. Charlotte's eyes widened in horror. No, I didn't forge anything. I swear it. I only sent him screenshots of what Evie was working on. I thought I was helping him support her career. Support? Evelyn snapped. By giving him ammunition to undermine me? Charlotte burst into tears. I didn't know, Evie. He said you two were struggling, that you pushed him away, that you were drowning after Mom died. I thought if I helped him, it would help you. Jared laughed behind the officers. And she believed every word. Aiden turned on him sharply. Shut up. But Jared just grinned at Charlotte. Tell them the truth, sweetheart. You wanted Evelyn's life. You told me so. You cried about it. Charlotte's face twisted with shame. I said I was jealous. Yes, I said it wasn't fair how everything always lands perfectly for Evie. Yes, but I never wanted to ruin her. Evelyn felt something inside her crack, slow, agonizing, like glass splintering. You were jealous? Evelyn whispered. After everything I did for you? After raising you? Paying for college? Covering your rent when you lost your job? Charlotte sobbed harder. I know. I was stupid. I was angry. I felt like I lived in your shadow. Evelyn's eyes burned. I never cast a shadow on you. You just stood behind me instead of next to me. Charlotte broke entirely, collapsing into a chair, burying her face in her hands. Aiden looked at Evelyn, his voice gentle. We can handle this legally. You don't have to. No, Evelyn said softly. I need answers. She knelt in front of Charlotte. Did you help him forge my signature? Charlotte shook her head violently. No, I swear on Mom, I didn't do that. Did you help him move money? No. Did you leak documents? A painful pause. Yes, Charlotte whispered, but only because he told me it was harmless. He said it was for internal updates, for planning. Evie, I didn't know. Evelyn closed her eyes. Pain washed through her, slow and suffocating. You trusted him more than you trusted me, she said quietly. Charlotte looked destroyed. I'm so sorry. But Evelyn wasn't sure sorry mattered anymore. Before she could respond, one of the officers' radios crackled. Dispatch to Unit 6, update on the Whitlock investigation. Everyone froze. The officer raised the radio. Go ahead. Static. Then Jared Whitlock isn't the only suspect. The files were traced to a second sender. Aiden stiffened. Who? The radio crackled again. The second sender is confirmed. Identity verified. Evelyn felt dread coil in her stomach. Charlotte whispered, Evie, please don't hate me. But the officer spoke over her. The radio announced the name clearly, unmistakably, Aiden Rourke. For a long, terrible second, Evelyn thought she'd misheard the radio. Her brain refused to process the name that crackled through the officer's speaker. Aiden Rourke, her ally, her anchor, her one source of stability in this entire nightmare. Aiden. The officer repeated it. Identity confirmed. The second sender is Aiden Rourke. The cafe fell into a vacuum of silence. Evelyn's breath hitched, her vision blurred. She stared at Aiden, waiting, desperate for a denial that didn't come fast enough. Aiden didn't move. He didn't flinch. He simply closed his eyes for a brief second, like someone absorbing a blow he expected. Aiden, Evelyn whispered, her voice cracking. Tell them they're wrong. He opened his eyes, slowly, painfully. Evelyn, listen to me. Jared laughed, a sharp, hysterical sound. I told you she should worry about the wrong person. Shut up, Aiden roared, startling everyone. But Evelyn recoiled at the anger in his voice, not because he was yelling at Jared, but because she heard something deeper inside it. Something he didn't want her to hear. Fear. Aiden, she repeated, stepping back. Tell me the truth. He took one step toward her, but the officers raised their hands, blocking him. Mr. Rourke, one officer said firmly, we need you to stay still. Aiden exhaled sharply, then looked at Evelyn again, his eyes pained. It's not what you think. Then what is it? She demanded. Because right now it sounds like you sent files to the same place Jared did. I did, Aiden said quietly. Charlotte gasped. Dr. Rhodes swore under his breath. Even the baristas behind the counter ducked as though the air itself had become dangerous. Evelyn felt her knees wobble. Why? Why would you do that? Aiden ran a hand through his hair, shoulders tight, jaw locked. Because I had to. Because someone inside Halcyon was sabotaging you long before Jared did. And I couldn't tell who. He glanced at the officers. So I used a secure third-party channel to test where the leaks were going. Evelyn's eyebrows drew together. A test? Yes, Aiden said. I sent harmless decoy files, fake internal drafts, to a secure endpoint. If someone intercepted them, I'd know we had a second traitor, someone inside the company. He looked at her, pleading. I wasn't betraying you, I was protecting you. Jared scoffed loudly. Oh please, that's the best he can do? Aiden's been playing both sides from the beginning. He wants the company. He wants you. He wants everything. Aiden lunged toward Jared, but the cops held him back. Keep him quiet, Aiden growled. Evelyn's head spun, her pulse hammered like a drumbeat in her ears. She wanted to believe Aiden, God, she wanted to. Because if he betrayed her too, then every safe place she had was gone. Aiden, she said quietly, forcing calm into her trembling voice, look me in the eyes and tell me you didn't hurt me. His gaze snapped to hers instantly, steady, intense, raw. I didn't hurt you, he said. I would never hurt you. Everything I did was to protect you and the company from people like Jared. Evelyn swallowed hard. Then why didn't you tell me? Because if you knew, Aiden said, they would have known you knew, and you would have become a target even faster. Evelyn felt a tear slip down her cheek. She didn't wipe it away. Charlotte rose shakily. Evie, he's telling the truth. I saw some of the files. They were harmless. Drafts, placeholders, not real documents. Jared snapped. Liar. But Aiden ignored him. Evelyn, he said softly, I swear to you, I didn't betray you. I was trying to catch the person who did. And did you? She whispered. Aiden hesitated. That hesitation cut deeper than any confession. What aren't you telling me? She whispered. Aiden's voice lowered. The endpoint I sent those files to, it matched an IP address connected to someone close to you. Evelyn's chest tightened. Charlotte? No, Aiden said. Closer. Her stomach dropped. Who? She breathed. Aiden looked at her with an expression she had never seen on him before, fear. And then he said, it was your mother's account. Evelyn's breath stopped. It didn't slow. It didn't stutter. It simply stopped. My mother's account? She whispered, barely forming the words. Aiden nodded slowly, as though bracing for the impact. It matched an IP address tied to her old laptop, the one she used before she passed. The world tilted. Her mother? The woman who had held her during nights of grief, who whispered that Evelyn was stronger than she believed, who told her she'd rise again? Her mother couldn't have betrayed her. She wasn't even alive. That's impossible, Evelyn choked out. She died 2 years ago. That computer was wiped. I saw it boxed. I locked it away. Aiden's voice was gentle but steady. Her credentials are being used. Someone accessed that account recently. Someone who had her login information. Charlotte let out a sharp sob. Evie? I swear I didn't. Evelyn raised a trembling hand. Don't. Not yet. Aiden continued. Whoever used your mother's account was someone who knew about her habits. Someone who knew the password she reused. Someone close enough to understand how to mimic her digital footprint. Evelyn felt the truth forming like a storm. Heavy, dangerous, inevitable. Jared smirked. Oh, this is going to be good. Aiden glared at him. Shut your mouth, Whitlock. But Jared only smiled wider. Let her figure it out. She's smart, she'll get there. Evelyn looked at Aiden, her voice was barely audible. When was the last login? Aiden hesitated. Too long. Aiden, when? His jaw clenched. This morning. Charlotte gasped. No, Mom is gone, Evie, she's gone. Evelyn's mind raced. Her mother's laptop, the bedroom closet back home, the box she sealed. The passwords Charlotte knew. The storage unit Jared once insisted she let him organize. Her stomach twisted violently. No, she whispered. No. Aiden stepped closer. Evelyn, listen, there's more. She shook her head rapidly. I don't want more. But Aiden pressed on. The files sent under your mother's account weren't sent to Jared. The room froze. They were sent to a private address, one that was created 5 months ago, under your mother's name. That's impossible, Evelyn repeated. Charlotte was sobbing silently now, rocking in her chair. Dr. Rhodes hovered behind her, helpless. Aiden lowered his voice. It means someone went out of their way not just to use her account, but to impersonate her, to make it look like she was still involved. Someone who wanted to frame your mother and you. Evelyn's throat tightened. Who would do that? This time, Aiden didn't hesitate. The same person who had access to your house, to your storage, to the boxes you locked away. Someone who knew your mother's medical passwords, her scheduling apps, her files. Someone who accessed her cloud storage long after she passed. Evelyn stared at him, dread curling like smoke around her heart. Someone, Aiden finished, who pretended to grieve with you. The cafe dimmed. The noise faded. Charlotte's sobs blurred into static. Evelyn whispered, Jared? Aiden shook his head. No. Jared's laugh echoed, dark and delighted. Oh, Evelyn? Not everyone you love is who you think. Her hands trembled. Then who? Aiden held her gaze. Who had your mother's jewelry box? Who claimed she wanted them to have it? Who stayed with you after your mother died? Who kept asking about passwords and bills and paperwork? Evelyn felt her breath slice through her chest. Her voice barely escaped. No? Charlotte didn't. Charlotte sobbed harder. Evie, please. But Aiden raised a hand. It wasn't Charlotte. Evelyn blinked. Confusion. Terror. Relief tangled with dread. Then who? She asked. Aiden swallowed. The system traced the false account to someone using your mother's identity as a cover. Someone who knows you more intimately than anyone. His eyes hardened. Your therapist's office flagged repeated attempts to access your grief records. Unauthorized attempts. Evelyn froze. Slowly she turned toward Dr. Rhodes. He was no longer pale. He was no longer trembling. He was staring at her, too calmly, too still, too knowing. Her skin crawled. Aiden, Evelyn whispered, voice shaking, tell me exactly who logged in as my mother. Aiden exhaled. Then he said the name, and the cafe broke into a collective gasp. Dr. Samuel Rhodes. For a moment, Evelyn couldn't feel her own heartbeat. Everything inside her turned hollow and cold. Like the cafe light suddenly dimmed, like the world slid several inches out of alignment. Dr. Samuel Rhodes, her therapist, her confidant, her safe place. The man who helped her breathe when grief crushed her chest. The man who saw her broken and kept her from collapsing entirely. The man she trusted more than anyone after her mother died. No, Evelyn whispered, that's not possible. Aiden positioned himself subtly between her and Dr. Rhodes. The officers inched closer, hands drifting toward their belts. The customers in the cafe shrank back, whispering, terrified. Dr. Rhodes didn't move, didn't flinch, didn't panic. He simply folded his hands calmly on the table. Evelyn, he said softly, you're in shock, you're vulnerable, and you're being manipulated. His voice, normally soothing, now dripped with something else, something cold, something calculated. Evelyn shook her head violently. Why would you use my mother's account? Why would you impersonate her? He sighed as if disappointed she didn't understand something obvious. Because you wouldn't listen. Listen to what? She demanded. Jared, still pinned to the wall, laughed with delight. This is better than I ever could have imagined. Aiden snapped. Shut up, Jared. But Dr. Rhodes kept his eyes on Evelyn, steady, unblinking. You weren't healing, he said. You were pretending, pushing yourself back into the corporate fire before you were ready. I told you to slow down. I begged you to. But you're stubborn, strong to a fault. Evelyn's stomach clenched. So you stalked me, broke into my files, used my mother's name, her memory, to manipulate my life? You call it manipulation, Dr. Rhodes said calmly. I call it intervention. The room erupted in gasps. Aiden stepped closer. You accessed private records, you impersonated a dead woman, and you sent documents that nearly destroyed her career. That's not intervention. That's criminal. Dr. Rhodes tilted his head. I didn't destroy her career. I saved it. Saved it? Evelyn whispered. By sending files to a fake account? By framing my mother's identity? By helping Jared? Dr. Rhodes finally shifted, his expression hardening. I didn't help Jared, he said. I watched him. I followed him. I studied him. He glanced briefly at Jared, eyes cold. He was unstable long before you saw it. I knew he would eventually expose himself, and I needed him to. Evelyn's skin crawled. Needed him to? For you to let go, Dr. Rhodes said. You were clinging to a marriage that was killing you. Evelyn felt her throat tighten. So you manufactured a crisis? No, he said. I accelerated an inevitable one. The officers exchanged looks. Aiden's voice turned steel. So you admit you impersonated her mother? Dr. Rhodes hesitated just a fraction too long. I used the credentials because they were familiar to her, he said. A symbol of trust, a symbol she would follow. Evelyn recoiled as if slapped. You used her memory to manipulate me emotionally. Dr. Rhodes finally rose from his seat. He moved slowly, deliberately, like a man who believed he had done absolutely nothing wrong. You needed guidance, he said. Structure. A path out of grief that you kept refusing. I gave you direction. You violated me, Evelyn whispered. I protected you. You controlled me. I helped you. You lied to me. His voice finally cracked, rising with something dark and unstable. I loved you. The cafe fell dead silent. Evelyn stepped back, eyes wide. Aiden's fists clenched. Dr. Rhodes breathed heavily, his mask slipping. You came to me broken, and I put you back together. Piece by piece, I supported you when no one else did. I carried you through the darkness, and I wasn't going to let you walk back into a life that would destroy you. Evelyn felt tears sting her eyes, not from sadness but from violation. You're sick, she whispered. Dr. Rhodes shook his head. I'm the only one who truly understands you. He took a step forward. The officer snapped to attention. Aiden blocked him. Don't even think about it. Dr. Rhodes lowered his voice. I did all of this for her. Evelyn shook her head. You did it for control. A shadow crossed his face, and then, without warning, he reached into his coat. The officers shouted. Aiden lunged. Charlotte screamed, and Evelyn saw the glint of metal. Dr. Rhodes pulled something from his jacket and aimed it directly at Aiden. Time did not slow. It did not pause. It snapped. The moment Dr. Rhodes pulled the metallic object from his coat, the cafe exploded into motion. Aiden lunged first, shielding Evelyn with his entire body, while officers shouted commands. Chairs scraped, and customers dove for cover. But then Evelyn saw it. Not a gun, a stun device. Small, black, and terrifyingly familiar. The same model hospitals used for patient restraint. Dr. Rhodes didn't want to kill. He wanted to control. Aiden, move, Evelyn shouted. But Aiden didn't move. He stepped forward. The stun device crackled, a flash of blue light. Before it could strike, one officer tackled Dr. Rhodes from the side, slamming him onto the floor. The device skittered across the tiles, harmless. Another officer pinned his wrists as he thrashed wildly. You don't understand, Dr. Rhodes screamed. She needs me. I'm the only one who can keep her safe. Evelyn pressed a trembling hand to her mouth. He wasn't in love. He wasn't helping. He was obsessed, twisted, broken in ways she never saw coming. Aiden pulled her into his arms. She felt his heartbeat fast, strong, alive. Relief flooded her so hard her knees nearly buckled. It's over, he whispered into her hair. You're safe now. But the hardest part wasn't the danger. It was the truth. Dr. Rhodes was dragged to his feet, handcuffed, fighting against the officers with frantic desperation. You'll regret this, Evelyn, he cried. Without me, you'll fall apart. You hear me? You'll never be whole without. His voice was cut off when the officers shoved him out the cafe door. Silence settled, heavy and stunned. For the first time since this nightmare began, Evelyn let herself breathe. Jared cursed violently as police tightened the cuffs on him too. You think you're strong now? He hissed. You think you'll be anything without me? Evelyn stepped toward him, steady, tall, unbroken. You were my biggest mistake, she said, but also my greatest lesson. Jared's face contorted with hate. Lesson? Yes, she said softly. You taught me to stop giving my loyalty to people who feed on my pain. She nodded to the officers. Take him. They dragged Jared through the cafe as he screamed her name, his voice fading into the cold Manhattan air. Charlotte stood trembling nearby, eyes red, hands wringing. Evie, I'm sorry. I messed up. I was stupid. I let my jealousy blind me and I ruined everything. Evelyn looked at her broken sister and felt a painful mixture of betrayal and mercy. You hurt me, Evelyn whispered deeply. Charlotte nodded, sobbing. I know. I'll spend the rest of my life trying to make it right. Evelyn inhaled shakily. You're not forgiven. Not yet. But you're my sister. And you'll get help. Real help. Not from people who prey on you. Charlotte collapsed into tears, but Evelyn didn't crumble with her this time. She was done carrying everyone else's weight. Hours later, after statements, after police cars left, after Charlotte was taken for questioning and Dr. Rhodes for psychiatric evaluation, Evelyn stood outside the cafe, looking out across the dark river. Aidan joined her, his coat around her shoulders. "You didn't deserve any of this," he said quietly. "Maybe not," Evelyn replied, "but I survived it." He touched her hand. She didn't pull away. "Evelyn," he said gently, "you're free now." But Evelyn shook her head. "No," she whispered. "I'm finally me now." Her life, once controlled by grief, by manipulation, by betrayal, felt open for the first time. A future not built on survival, but on choice. She turned to Aidan, tears soft but steady. "Thank you," she said, "for believing I wasn't broken." Aidan smiled. "You were never broken, just buried." And for the first time in years, Evelyn let herself smile. Small, real, earned. She walked forward, leaving behind the cafe, the chaos, the ghosts of her past. Because this time, she wasn't walking alone. So, that's how the story closes. And if you are still here with me right now, listening all the way to the end, it means something in this journey touched your heart in a way you maybe didn't expect. Maybe it reminded you of your own strength. Maybe it reminded you of the battles you've had to fight quietly without applause. Or maybe you simply needed to hear that you're not alone. In the philosophy of Stoicism, Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "What stands in the way becomes the way." And Evelyn's story is exactly that. Every betrayal became a doorway. Every heartbreak became a teacher. Every ending became a beginning. Life won't always protect us from people who hurt us, but it will always offer us the chance to rise above them, wiser, calmer, stronger. Healing isn't loud, it's the quiet decision to keep walking forward. If this story resonated with you, my dear friend, don't leave quietly. Like the video to keep us growing. Share it with someone who needs strength today. And subscribe, because your presence here truly matters more than you know. We're walking this path together.